All right, guys, time for something a little bit unusual. Late afternoon episode of the Duck Chronicles. Usually I do this first thing in the morning, but I had a lot of work to get done today, and figured I wanted to get this in for you because I got something kind of cool to show you. And some baby ducks. Almost like a rewind back to the beginning. But these are not ducks that our broody girls hatched. These are a rescue duck and her friends. So the little yellow duck there, which is probably a Pekin, we had some people contact us, and they told Dorothy that they had found a poor little duck that was lost, and they wanted to know if we would take it, and they said they'd been feeding her grapes. So Dorothy figured if they're feeding a baby duck grapes, they probably don't know much about ducks. And being compassionate, Dorothy said, well, I'll take the duck. So they brought her to us a couple days ago. And unless we were holding her or right where she could see us, all she did was scream until she was hoarse, because a baby duck does not wish to be alone. And so we sent Dorothy down to the feed store to get some friends. So they had 5 ducks, 3 Rowans is what it looks like. A little Rowan there, a little Rowan there, a little Rowan there, and 2 that are probably black runners or something similar like that there as well. So we are now brooding ducks. Something else is here. What is that, friends? Any idea what you're looking at there? That's a turkey poult. And there's another one right there. And somewhere in here, oh, there we go. There's a third one. So now we're going to be bringing up 3 turkeys. These are not long-term homestead additions. I'd like to introduce you to Thanksgiving, Christmas, and probably New Year's is what they are. Those are bronze-breasted turkeys. They get very, very large. If we get fortunate and have tom turkeys, we could have birds well over 30 pounds. Hens routinely get up in the 20-pound range. So those are, we'll see if they cohabitate well with the ducks. They seem to get along pretty well for right now with the babies. We'll be watching those guys grow on the Duck Chronicles as well. I have not moved the geese yet due to a language barrier with the processor we found. I really hate to drive all the way down to Mansfield, Texas and find out they don't do geese. The girl that answers the phone is very, very difficult to understand. But one way or another this week, the other 6 geese, not these 2, not Buddy and Joe, but the other 6 geese are going, because it is time to get the main flock moved. We'll go see our broody girls if they're in the mood to be seen anyway. They are still brooding. I'm a little worried about the one. Other ducks have managed to wedge their butts in next to her, and we didn't realize it till very recently, but she is sitting on a massive quantity of eggs. There's no way they're all going to hatch. If I could, well, she's got them all covered up pretty good. She's still pretty upset with me. She's probably 15 days away from her main group hatching out. This gal over here, she's even a little more angry. This is the mean one, man. This one will bite you good. But you can see we bring water in here for them all during the day. They have little bowls of food. And we feed them and water them by hand. And in return, they bite us when we get too close to them. That's just because they're protecting their eggs, their clutches. You can see what I did here. And they've already started using them. And hopefully this will prevent more eggs from being shoved underneath our broody girls. These little bins are like $10 at Walmart and what have you. And I've put them in as nesting boxes. And today, 3 of them had eggs in them. Still had a lot of eggs outside. Still had one sitting on top of this girl here. This is the one with all the eggs. And I'll come in, and one of the Swedish females will be sitting right next to her. And I think she's been just laying her eggs and inserting them under the girl here. So what we might do is if she hatches them and comes out with her clutch and leaves the nest, whatever's left, we could just throw in the incubator on an end cycle and hopefully save some of them. That'll involve more brooding, but we'll get through it. I hate to see those eggs go to waste. This girl here seems to have about the right number of eggs. A lot of stuff has gone on since the last episode. The cider orchard, remember last time I showed you we'd gotten the irrigation in along the fence. Well, now we've got all the irrigation in for the cider orchard. There's actually 7 zones there. So I'm now able to irrigate all of this. And my trees are shipping this week, so I'll get the trees planted. They'll probably be in the ground by the next episode. And I've built my prototype for the poop-free duck waterer, at least the main part of it. Give you a look at that. I've talked about it before, but now it'll make more sense. So this is a 6-inch piece of PVC pipe. It's got end caps glued onto it. Set level on the fence. Full of water. These are just 2.5-inch holes from a hole saw. All the way down. So the ducks can stick their heads in here and they can drink the water, but they can't get their butts in there to poo. So the next step, need to put a drain cock in it so I can drain it all out, clean it, because they can still get food and stuff in there. And then eventually what I'd like to do is put a float valve in and plumb in a line here with a holding tank that'll be able to keep this full long term. And that way they can have water at night. So their new digs are really just about ready for them as soon as the geese go. I cleaned out their the chicken pen. I wrecked out all the perches. The ducks won't need those. We'll put those nesting boxes all along that back wall, maybe all along this wall. I'll go pick up some more of those boxes like you saw. And that should get them doing a lot better with laying their eggs inside. And that means we'll have cleaner eggs and less of a need to clean. So just one more thing to show you today before we wrap up, not wrapped up. Got to get those tenses of the verbs correct so you don't sound like you're a redneck from Texas, even if you are. Hey Charlie, how you doing? Say hello to everybody, buddy. Charlie's been doing good. He's been killing mice and rats. I don't know how many more we even have at this point, but he's gotten several mice recently. He almost took himself out at the work weekend last weekend on a piece of metal when they lifted it, and a mice came out from underneath it. He slid across it and busted his head, but he ended up okay. The roses, the Rosa rugosa, and the system I showed you last week are starting to leaf out for us. You can see there. So we should really start to see this come along. But right here, all along here, you can see I've planted Nanking cherries. So I've had some Nanking cherries around. I wondered if they'd fruit here. And the ones I had planted last year did set fruit, so I know they will set fruit. So I've got 11 of them now planted, all on this irrigation we put in. I've got a whole bunch of muscadine grapes, and this whole fence line is going to be muscadine, along with all the way across the front, all the way to the other side of the property. And these trees were dormant when they went in, so they're not much to look at right now. They're just like little sticks. But I had one potted over the winter that's leafed out, so I can kind of show you what they look like when they're leafed out anyway. Just like that there. These get about 6 to 8 feet high. I'll probably prune them in the 6-foot range. And that way, they're on the east side of the fence line. They won't shade out the muscadines, so they'll be trained with their cordons up on the top of this 5.5-foot fence. So that's where we're at now. Got a lot of work to do still this year, but things are coming along. Also planted a big mulberry tree, but it's way on the other side of the property, so we'll show you that in a future update. And keep checking back in with us. The ducks continue to grow. New babies are coming. Soon we'll have babies hatched by the mama muscovies. That should be fun. And once again, if you have questions, post them, and I will give you the best answers I can to them. One question I'll address here at the end. Somebody asked me why, when I did my barley fodder system before, that I ran that with 5 buckets for 5 days, and I'm doing the sunflower fodder that I showed you guys in the last episode for only 3, and it's just because sunflower grows faster, and that's about as big as I want it. I don't want it to grow into small plants. I want them to still be kind of sprouty when I feed them to the ducks, and they just like them better that way. Anyway, again, keep the questions coming, keep the comments coming. Stay tuned into the Duck Chronicles.